Today's Daily Dose of Math is about the equation of the regression line. In our 4152 and 4272 courses, we learned to find the equation of the regression line from a scatter plot using 4 different methods. On the exam, we can do big questions where we're allowed to choose the method we want to use in order to find our regression line. But we also get smaller questions where we're told to use a certain method. The student needs to know how to do all 4 methods. The 4 methods are the Meyer line method, the median method, the line of best fit, and the calculator. I'm going to do all 4 methods with the same set of data, starting with the Meyer line. Now my set of data is very small. There are only 7 points in it. But I'm doing this on purpose to keep the example small and to keep the calculations small, because comparing all 4 methods with the same set of data ends up being quite a long video. The first thing I have to do the Meyer line method is rearrange the data in my table so that it is in increasing order of x. It already was, but part of this process to make sure that when there are 2 points with the same x value, those points are listed in increasing order of y. So I moved a couple of the points around in the table in order to achieve that. Next, I have to divide my table into 2 smaller tables, as close to the same size as possible. There are an odd number of points in this table, so one of the 2 smaller tables has 1 more point than the other. The third thing I do is find x bar and y bar for both the x coordinates and y coordinates in both tables. So I end up with x bar 1, y bar 1, x bar 2, and y bar 2. These are the averages of the x values and the averages of the y values in the 2 separate tables. The 4 values that I get from doing that are arranged into 2 points, which we need to find our equation. First, we put those 2 points into the slope formula, and this time we get a slope of 1.79. Then we plug that slope and one of the 2 points into the y equals ax plus b form of a straight line equation in order to solve for b, our y-intercept. Finally, we just have to arrange the slope and y-intercept that we found into the y equals ax plus b form to give our final equation of the regression line. The Meyer line method is complete. What I'll do now is I'll shrink this example so that I can fit it over here in the corner. We'll look at it again later. Next, we're going to do the median method. To do the median method, I start by making sure my table of values is arranged in order of increasing x value. And when there is a tie between 2 points that have the same x value, I have to make sure that they are in increasing y value. I've done that here. So this table has the order of the points corrected. The next step is to divide that table into 3 smaller tables that are as close to the same size as possible. And when one of the tables is a different size than the others, that has to be the table that's in the middle. I've done that too. Now I'm going to find the median of the x's and the median of the y's for all 3 tables. So I'm going to find 6 medians. So the median of the x's from the first table is 11.5. The median of the y's from the first table is 18. I arrange these as a coordinate pair, and I do the same thing for the second and third tables. Now I need to find the point P, which is found by finding the average, the mean, of the 3 x values of M1, M2, and M3. The x coordinate of point P will be 13. The average of 11.5, 13, and 14.5. I find the y-coordinate the same way, using the y-coordinates of the 3 median points. My point P has an x-coordinate of 13 and a y-coordinate of 20.83. I use point M3 and point M1 in the slope formula to find the slope of my regression line, which this time is 11/6. Then I plug that slope into the y equals ax plus b form for a straight line equation, and I plug in point P so that I can solve for b, my y-intercept. This time I get a y-intercept of -3. Finally, I arrange the slope and the y-intercept that I found into the y equals ax plus b form, and I have my final equation of the regression line. This is the median-median method with the same set of data that I used before with the Meyer line method. I will now shrink down my median-median method and move it out of the way so we can do the next method, which is the line of best fit. The first step is to make a graph, a scatter plot from this data. My graph looks like this. I only have 7 points and they are shown on the graph. Now I have to draw the line of best fit, which is a line that goes through the points, leaving half of the points above and half of the points below the line, while respecting the slope that is suggested by this set of points. The next step is to choose 2 points from the line. This does not mean choosing 2 of the dots that are already on the graph. We want to choose 2 points from the line because it is the equation of this line that we are trying to find. I put these 2 points in these positions. And the x and y coordinates of the positions are shown here. Now I can use the 2 points in the slope formula to find the slope for my regression line, which in this case is 1.78. I plug that slope in fraction form, 16/9, into the y equals ax plus b form for a straight line equation, and I also plug in one of the 2 points. This allows me to solve for b, the y-intercept, and in this case we have gotten a y-intercept of -2.56. All that's left now is to rearrange the slope and y-intercept that I found into the y equals ax plus b form, and we have our regression line equation. Next, I will shrink this answer down and move it over out of the way so that we can look at using the calculator to find the regression equation. The first thing we have to do when we're going to find the equation of the regression line in the calculator is make sure that the calculator is in stat mode. I press the mode button and I choose 1 for stat. But then this calculator is asking me, well, which type of stat mode do you need? We're trying to find the equation of the regression line, so we need line mode, and that means we're pressing number 1 again. Now that we're in the right mode, we can start entering our data. Our first x coordinate is 11, so we press 1, 1, and stow. That enters the x coordinate and puts a comma because the calculator is waiting for the y coordinate. I type in 18 and I hit M+. Data set equals 1 means that the first point has been entered. This helps keep count of how many points I've entered to help me to avoid making a mistake, like entering the same point twice by accident or omitting a point. Now I can go straight ahead to the second point where x equals 12. Enter that, press stow, y is 19, press M+. Notice that I'm using the set of data that came with the question, where I haven't reordered any of the points. It's unnecessary with the calculator. Our third point, 12 for the x, stow, 18 for the y, M+. And then we keep going until all the points are entered. Now that all of the points have been entered, I can get my a and my b from the calculator so that I can write down my equation of regression line. The a and the b are shown here in a blue above the open bracket and close bracket keys. That means to access them, we have to use the alpha key. So I do alpha open bracket equals, and it tells me that my a is -0.9524. I'm going to write this down rounded to 4 decimal places. To get the b, I do alpha close bracket equals, and my b is going to be 1.6667. Remember to go to 4 decimal places. When you're doing this, this is done to retain more exactness in the equation. When we write our equation, we are writing it in the form y equals bx plus a. Normally in my courses, the students use y equals ax plus b. But where this calculator's chip was produced, it's done with y equals bx plus a. Therefore, my equation of the regression line is y equals 1.6667x minus 0.9524. I have found the equation of the regression line using the calculator. I show the Meyer line method in blue, the median method in red, the line of best fit method in green, and the calculator method in this orangey brown color. The important thing to look at is the equations that we get as a result of the 4 methods. Notice that the 4 equations are not exactly the same. We should expect that because all 4 of these methods are estimates. Remember, we're finding the equation of a line that isn't really there. It's really the points, the dots in the scatter plot that are there. So all 4 methods, even the calculator, are really an estimate. It is interesting to notice that the 4 slopes that we find are not very different from each other. The lowest is about 1.67 from the calculator, and the highest is 1.83 from the median method. That's only a difference of 0.16 units. But then when we look at our y-intercepts, we can see that they diverge a little more than the slopes, going from negative 0.95 all the way up to negative 3. But this makes sense, because when you look at what we did in these methods, we're using our slopes to find the y-intercepts. Since the slopes are not perfect in the first place, and then they're also rounded, that introduces a bit more error into the subsequent steps, and would cause the y-intercepts to be more different than the slopes. The good news is that all 4 y-intercepts are negative. And that looks really good when we look at my line on the graph, because it really does seem to be pointing down to a negative y-intercept. When I ask students which of these 4 methods is the best, students would tend to choose the calculator, because we have a tendency to assume that calculators are perfect. Well, this is not perfect, because the calculator is estimating the equation for a line that is not really there, just like the other methods are. But the calculator's equation is probably the closest to being exact. Because all 4 of these methods are acceptable ways of finding the equation, and because the student can choose the method they like best in some questions on their final exam, it means that different students can have different answers to a question on the final exam and still all be right. What your answer will be will depend on the method you used. And when I'm correcting your exam, I double check the method you used to see what the answer should have been, instead of just believing one answer for all 4 methods. This has been a comparison of the 4 methods taught in Math 4152 and 4272 for finding the equation of the regression line. It is today's Daily Dose of Math. Please like, subscribe, and share.